All right, welcome back to Scotch Hour. This is Noah.
This is Jesse.
And this is Brian.
Okay, so I think we last week we came across a question that we did not know.
The proper answer to
what makes a single malt Scotch. So we did discover that for a Scotch to be a single malt, or at least single, that means it has to be distilled only from one distillery.
Yes.
Now, for it to be considered a malt, it means that they're using malt, right?
Barley, yes.
Malt barley. They're using barley to make the malt.
Yes.
So single malt Scotch is barley that's malted, right, from one
distillery. Yeah.
And then the years is about, I guess, has to do with like how long they age in the barrels.
So if it's a blended Scotch, then they're blending multiple distilleries?
Right.
Yes. And it could be a blended malt, and if it's blended malt, then it's blended barley from different distilleries. Whereas like just a blended Scotch, like just where it's just blended, it means that it can be like anything. Like can be like rice or corn or wheat or something else.
Huh.
So
learn something new on Scotch.
Yeah. So basically, I guess the way it works here, it says. Scottish whiskey pronounced by single distillery, so is produced by a single distillery is for the single, and can only be made using barley and water. So that's single malt Scotch. If you have single grain Scotch, that's Scotch whiskey produced by a single distillery and can be made using any cereal, including wheat, corn, or rye.
Okay, single grain Scotch.
Yes, and then you have blended whiskeys. You have blended Scotch whiskey. It's a blend of one or more single malt Scotches with one or more single grain Scotch whiskey.
Right.
Ooh. So it sounds to me like maybe grain Scotch whiskey is not, or grain malt is not quite as something is sought after as the barley malt, the grain
Yeah,
malt?
I would say so because like most of like if you're talking about single malt Scotches, that would be the case because if you're talking about malted. There's also blended malt whiskey, and that's where they use multiple distilleries that use barley and water.
Okay.
And then there's blended grain where they do two or more that use anything other than barley. Yeah. So there you go.
What's the hierarchy like? The tip of the pyramid?
That
like
would be the single malt.
And then
yeah.
what's the bottom end like?
I would assume it's the...
What's the Boone's Farm, you know?
the Boone's Farm.
Sorry, we don't get any kickbacks from Boone's Farm, and now we never will.
I'm thinking the...
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'm okay with
I've
that
never
too.
really had that, Boone's Farm, but I just remember that
Come on,
from
you
college.
had Boone's Farm way back in the day.
Maybe I did, but I don't really remember. I remember getting like...
You probably had
oldie.
Thunderbird. You probably had Thunderbird too way back
I
in
didn't
the day.
have Thunderbird. I don't know what Thunderbird is. I had
What's
oldie.
the word? What's the word? Thunderbird.
Dude, I am so lost.
Yeah.
How about Cisco? The liquid crack stuff.
No, I have no idea
What is
Cisco
going
is.
on here? You guys are starting to scare me, man. This is like...
And then,
we're
like,
kinda off
there's
the
like a new
rails, but-
stuff called like there's a new stuff called like Trace something or other.
I went on this...
I drank oldie, 8-ball.
8-ball, OE,
Oldie.
Like the...
Mickey's.
Dude, you
Mickey's? Oh, gosh, yeah.
just don't sound like the ignorant old parents who are like, I went and had some ecstasy on a wild vacation. What?
Did you ever play the Edward Scissorhand games where you had like the
Edward, what do you call it? The 40 hands
Yeah.
or something? You know, I don't know if we did. We might have because there's a picture floating around of me and Trevor and Chad, and we all have our 40s, and it was when we were really young.
and they like duct taped your hand?
I don't think they at
And
one
ladies
point,
and gentlemen, that is how single malt Scotch is made.
and to come full circle, yeah, somehow he ended up with a 40 in each hand. Jesse's like, can we keep this classy? What just happened?
We went lowbrow.
Very lowbrow. I want to watch this back and see how it started. I wonder if I started it.
Yeah.
Don't know.
Don't know.
It was him and his liquid crack.
Yeah, you started throwing out some crazy stuff, man. I don't know what you were
Crazy
drinking
train.
in college.
All
You were
right.
riding
Hey,
a
we-
crazy train.
Hey, you have to remember, I was in a fraternity, so.
Oh, yes. Oh, hey, I remember, man.
So, Jesse, what do we have this evening for us to drink?
And this evening,
Since you're holding it up.
we have the Glen Fohdry Trilogy. So we've got
And how do
a...
you pronounce the trilogy in Gaelic?
Yeah, I'm going to leave that up to Noah because when I tried, he just looked
I
at
got
me
one.
and I had 20 different enunciations and every single one of them was terrible. All right, Brian, go for it.
I'm
Which
going to
one?
shoot for that 12-year one.
Yeah, the
I got it.
12-year-old.
That is the Atzel an Avut.
There are people in their Gaelic
I
tombs
literally
twisting right
no,
now.
I swear. Hey, Noah,
Wait, what does it say here for the...
find it on your phone because it really is a Avut. I wrote that down.
So here, this is the triple word. Trio blade. Like, so it, look,
I wasn't trying to say trial blade. I was trying to say
it looks like trio
Atzel
blade
and
or
Uts.
blade.
It's
So the first one is a doubled, and the doubled is matured in American
down for
white
me.
oak
It's-
casks and ex-bourbon casks.
that's not the one we're starting with, is it? I want to start with the Atzel and it's.
That's the one he's talking about right now. And this one is aged in American oak casks for a full 12 years. So this one will be the most aged of a single cask. And then
Putting
finally...
your headphones off.
Finally, we have the French oak cask version, which is matured in American white oak casks. And then when the distiller believes it's ready, moves it over to an ex-French cask for its final maturation.
Maturation, that is a collegiate word.
It's a big word, like
we-
40.
I mean, so much maturation happened in college with your Edwards 40 hands. Jesse's like, come on, reel it back in, gentlemen. Bring it back.
It's usually me going like, hey, we gotta reel this back in, folks.
All right, do we want to like flip an ice cube or just go for it?
Just go for it.
I want no ice. I'm going to give it a shot right here. You do the honors. And
yeah,
you're the
you
one.
pick, and then we'll
All right. If I'm picking, we're going to finish with the 12 because I think it's going to be the most splendid. So we'll finish with the 12. We are going to visit the double matured in the middle, but we're going to actually start with what I think will be probably the sweetest, most interestingly enough.
The Frenchie.
The Frenchie, yes.
We're gonna try the froggy.
We're going to try the froggy.
Kick.
So where we're staggered in the screen, like if I'm talking to you, should I be looking up at you like this, or is that like
Should I be looking
Jesse
down like
over
this?
there? Yeah.
Dude, an
Hey,
episode...
down there.
Hey, down there.
I got some really good ideas for
Yeah,
episode
like,
27, and that's literally what I want to do. It's like, oh, this is what it feels like, Noah. How you guys doing down there? Man, when it rains, can you see above the water?
No.
No.
Cannot.
All right.
Time to sift and sniff.
So you know the oots part?
Oh,
That
yes.
totally reminded me.
You know
of
that's a
the,
pretzel, right? Oots pretzels.
Yes.
Advertising. They're delicious. Send us some pretzels. We eat
I
them
was
with our Scotch.
thinking more
It'd be
of,
like this. We could actually match scotches with Oots pretzels.
I was, I was thinking more along the line of the movie Jexy, where his boss goes, "Break it down for me." It's like oots.
Jexy is one of the great movies.
I
That
know.
movie had me just rolling laughing.
It is hilarious.
It is a very funny movie.
It's very highbrow.
Corks in.
Thank you for letting me know, because I've
Noah. Brian. Jesse.
It is
Thank
now,
you, Jesse.
Thank you, Jesse. It is now time
Thank you,
to
Jesse.
vigorously swirl.
swirl and sniff in through the nose.
Are you helicoptering over there?
No, man, I'm vigorously swirling.
It doesn't sound like that way.
Something's making a vibrating
Those
sound
are
over there.
great big
Yeah.
blades on a
That's
helicopter.
nice. Here you go. So
And we are back in college again. Myself, I was busy studying tangents and materials, calculus.
Dude, tell me about it. I was the only one in my whole house that wasn't like a speech comm major.
I was in the basement shooting tennis balls with a hockey stick.
Good times.
I
Good
will tell
times,
you,
Noah.
one of my favorite stories is one of the first times I came and spent a night with Noah and his fraternity. And it was the first time, only like third time I'd ever drinking. I was like 22 years old, I think. And the projectile vomit, I will remember that was the first time I projectile vomited. And I went over one car onto the next one, and I will never forget that because it was so funny to me.
Dude, I can only imagine the two of you must have been one hell of a sight. If he's projectile vomiting, and I've seen you drunk, and you must have been equally as drunk as him.
Probably not, because I probably wasn't projectile vomiting.
I know, but you don't projectile vomit. You just like kind of turn into this like hiccuping, like just malfunctioning robot.
What? I don't think I've ever seen Noah inebriated. This is all new.
Oh my gosh, it's funny.
All right.
All right, okay. Swirling.
All right.
Sniffing.
All right, step 5. Is this where we close our mouth and breathe through the nose?
I kind of like that.
Very.
It's reminding me of a Glenmorangie.
Woodsy. I'm getting very woodsy. Mm-hmm. This is the. Which one did we do? This is the
French.
It's the French
one. Okay. So this is the French wine casks, the French oak.
It's American oak and then finished with French.
French oak. Okay.
Because us Americans, we're not mature.
Yeah.
We're not.
Go
refined.
figure.
We're not refined.
Just rewind this and watch it over and over again, and that'll show you
how refined we are.
And now the taste.
Okay.
Jesse's like,
no,
let's
I'm not
back
done.
in.
I'm not done smelling.
Don't put your nose
I didn't
in it
hear.
this time.
Did you say? I didn't hear you guys give it a bouquet description.
Oak.
Yeah, I get heavy oak.
I get a little kind of like a cinnamon.
We could have a lot of fun and be like, is that oil?
Don't say that. Initially, I did get I was like, "Oh, this is pretty strong."
I would say.
It feels a little hot to me.
Have you tasted it yet? I saw
No.
Jesse already snuck up.
I was gonna say maybe
He's over
more
there.
like a nectarine maybe, or a apricot. I'm not really sure if it's nectarine or apricot in the nose.
No tangerine.
Could be. I'm thinking it's more like in the peachy side of things, like a nectarine.
To me, it's starting out like it's hot to me.
You've already tasted it, right?
Twice.
So I'm wondering if I'm going to get a peach schnapps type of vibe. No?
It's hot. We're glad we started with this one, man.
It's not that bad. I didn't it wasn't too hot for me, but yeah, you're not gonna get a peach schnapps out of it.
Well, the way you it hit Jesse like it was like hot.
You can try it.
I think it did come out his nose or something.
Thank goodness, no. I'm more
He
sophisticated.
started to
than
laugh though. It probably might have been close.
that. It would have hurt badly. Might have ruined my evening. But I was done smelling after, just a couple. Yeah, she's ready.
It's almost like a candied fruit with a slight oak.
It's got this kind of
I'm going to throw something out there, but I'm not trying to, persuade you guys to think that I'm right, because I could be totally off base after that dinner, which was great. Thank you again, Noah, for supplying those. We'll talk a little bit more about dinner in a minute, but
we got to make sure we
what
definitely
about-
talk about dinner.
what about chocolate-covered cherry?
Ooh, maybe. Probably get some cherry out of that.
Maybe
Maybe
that's
that's
an aftertaste, like after.
In the mid to end.
that's probably that candied fruit I was talking about.
Absolutely.
I couldn't place it. But I think you're on the button with the chocolate covered.
It's not
cherries.
bad.
No.
It is a little bit hotter than I like.
Yeah, but remember, a lot of times when we open up bottles, they tend to be kind of hot at first, so maybe it'll mellow out here in a little bit.
Do we dare try this one with ice?
Well, when I drink it, I'm trying to.
yeah,
I'm
we
trying
didn't
to
talk
think
about
of. We
color.
didn't talk much about the color. This is, I think, kind of orangish amber.
I can go with like a dark honey.
All three of these look very similar to me. And since your perfect enunciation of attire and oa, which means the color of gold.
I wouldn't really call this gold.
I'm going to go with like golden brown.
Well, this isn't the 12 here that's gold. This is the...
I think they're all pretty much like the same color.
Yeah.
All right, so should we try the next one here? I want to
Yeah.
let this one breathe a little bit before we come back to it. And then we can try it with like ice a little bit later if we want.
Oh, I like this.
Bingo, bingo. Okay, so now the second. This is the doubled.
Okay, what would, as Jesse's getting us going with the doubled, as I was drinking that, like I can't think of the best way to describe it, but it had like a kind of a, like a bright taste to it, kind of a right at the tip, uplifting, almost like kind of a ooh.
So it has a bright front palate, is what you're saying.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
Where it kind
of
of
a crisp, clean. Ooh,
so it hits
yeah.
you right in the front palate, in the middle. It doesn't. It settles down,
And then it settles down.
And
But
then
it's
the
not
back.
a bad, the way it hits you in the front palate. It's not a bad hit. Yeah. Good. Thanks for that.
I don't know if that helped.
That's exactly what I was talking about. Yeah.
I'm going to go with that golden bronzed color again.
Yeah. To me, it's almost like a dark honey to caramel color.
I don't think I can see. I can't see a distinct difference.
I can see clearly now.
That
The
the Scotch is here.
This has a little bit more of an orangish hue, and this has a little bit more of a goldish hue.
We could get
Noah, what's
more
your
of
thoughts?
the same glass so you could have a
Pretty
better
similar.
variance.
Okay,
I think.
so now we talked color. Now we got to talk the bouquet.
This one has a little bit more floral or sweeter bouquet than the other one.
Absolutely.
Smoother.
That's the
Like,
bourbon
I think,
cask.
striking it.
Bourbon cask?
I would say this one has, like, on its bouquet, it's a lot more welcoming than the other one.
Agreed.
It's like saying, welcome, come drink me.
This is a little bit.
So the first lad's wearing a t-shirt and jeans, and this one's wearing a polo and khakis.
I'm not going to drink a polo khaki guy.
I'm just referring to it's more welcoming.
I'm just gonna keep sifting.
Yeah, how do we go there again? I was just like talking about welcoming. I do agree with you with the floral, and I dig it.
Yeah.
Dig it. Life's a garden.
I did, Brian, you might find this interesting. I did look upon a bottle of Smoke Wagon bourbon today.
Dude, I like this one. This one goes down. This one has like almost no heat to it. It's going down smooth. Right from the get-go.
Real smooth in comparison to
Comparison to the French
the holy jeans, and the dirty t-shirt.
Isn't this one kind of nice?
Yeah, but what is that? What is that flavor? It's this one is different because this one has a. It's not bright at the
Honey.
the front end.
Honey.
You said at the front, it's very kind of bright at the front.
That
or-
was this one. That was
yeah.
Frenchy.
That this one is not the case. This one is kind of mellow at
And
the
then
beginning,
builds.
and then it builds to this kind of bright finish, and then it lingers away. But
I would say that you have like, it's almost right where the front is nice and mellow with like a little bit of honey, maybe, or a little bit of fruit, but really you hit the crescendo in the mid palate. Mm-hmm. And that's where you get like heavy. I think that's where you get your like the real like splash of honey, and then it comes down and finish out nice and smooth.
Yeah.
And it kind of like it doesn't dissipate very quickly. It just kind of hangs around a little bit, and it's pretty balanced all through, I would say.
This is reminiscent of the Lost episode right now, the Glen Moranchi flight that we did that will forever be redone someday.
It will have to be.
Well, for me, this one...
and now we have a third person to do it. So
bingo.
Sounds good.
Check out these guys.
I like the...
got tickets to the show?
I'm charging a lot these days.
I like the lingering tail on this one better than this one here.
I think
this one has I enjoy the front end, and that I get that bump. What did you call it? That word?
Crescendo.
Crescendo. It kind of right there, in the middle. It comes later than this one. This one comes really early, and then this one just kind of tails off with a good aftertaste. So right now,
this one slaps you in the face from the get go,
and I like that. And then it's like, ooh.
Now I know how to greet you.
Yeah. Hey, whoa, okay, I'm here.
So we open up the door, you come over.
Yeah. So right now, I'm gonna go with the initial. Is that the Etzel? Etzel and
no,
you're talking about the Fion Franc.
You're talking about the Frenchie. I actually like the American one more.
I'm going to come back and revisit, but right now I am digging what the bourbon cask has done to the double.
Yeah, the double maturation, which is the American oak.
I feel like that makes it. I'm getting the heat on the tail end that I don't appreciate.
I got to see it every time you talk about heat. The heat is on.
It's on the street. Heat is on.
It's in the glass. But when it works.
Oh, that sounded good. Okay, I'm going back to this first one since I guess I'm the only one who likes it the most.
No, I like it. I just think there's a better one right next to it.
I think right now, it goes Frenchie in last, American in first.
We're going to find out.
And then we got whatever this one is.
If you ain't winning, you're losing.
This is the Attile.
So we already got quotes from Joe Dirt, quotes from Jexy,
Talladega Nights.
and Talladega Nights.
If you're not first, you're last.
If you're not first, you're last. You're like, it's not true. Couldn't you be second?
Yeah, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Either second place, third place, and fourth place. There's fifth place and sixth place. But Dad, when I wake up in the morning, excellence.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Dude, maybe we all end up going home with a different bottle tonight.
It is. Right now, for me, it's no contest. All right, I got to keep these in order.
He's showing the Frenchie his O face. Oh.
I love Frenchie.
What is that from? The O face.
Office Space.
I have not seen that.
You haven't?
No.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, you got
Is it as good as Jexy?
Better.
Oh, yeah, I think it's better.
Better than Jexy.
Better. Tenfold better.
Office
It's going to make you want to do something very special to your old copy machine or printer.
No, I don't.
We got to do that.
We got to do that. And we got to film it.
Oh, and we got an old one that's downstairs that I haven't recycled yet.
Yeah, pre-recycle cycle.
Office Space?
Yes.
Better than Jexy. Who's in it? Who's the main people?
Jennifer Aniston's the main female character. The guy...
Yeah, Jennifer Aniston is so...
Cute. She's cute.
Sure.
This movie's probably 15 years old.
Tinfoil hat people believe that she's a guy.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not a tinfoil hat person.
I don't think she's a guy.
Forgive him, Jennifer. If you ever want on the show, I'll make a space.
All right. Color.
It's pretty much the same color as the other two. Maybe slightly bit darker, but not by much.
I'm going to give this
Scent.
an 89.55 versus the 89.545 of the last one.
just like old man voice or
He's
something?
like old man southern voice or something.
Do it again.
Did you survive the Civil War or something, dude?
The Holocaust is rough. It's rough.
I'm gonna give that one a record out of the yonder. 89.2.
Oh, darn, that was my tooth.
Okay.
All right, vigorously swirling.
I actually, I think it has a very mellow.
12 years should mellow. Someone like us out.
I'd say like a.
Did they use an Oloroso cask as the second piece of this? I thought it was just oak.
I do know this one won an award.
The two golds
I
in
can
San
tell you
Francisco.
about this one. Yeah, this was like a.
What a nose on this.
Oh, here you go.
Is it like a green apple, maybe?
Yeah. Something definitely.
This won the double gold at the 2018 San Francisco World Spirits Competition. So this is no joke here.
Yeah, I think it's an apple. Maybe green apple or.
Oh, this is the one. This is, yep. I got some.
There's
I got
something else with that apple.
Some key notes here to
Yeah.
see. Let me see if I can get them now that I've looked at it. You know, sometimes I don't.
Yeah, this is the winner. Although the finish is really, really
Well,
not there.
No,
it's pretty.
too mild.
I mean, the aroma is very mild.
So you remember how I talked about earlier at dinner time? We're talking about wines and stuff, and I was talking about how Australian wines are very fruit forward,
And then
and they have like a tardiness to them.
watered down finish.
Yeah, and like comparative to like maybe an Italian or a French wine, this is very much the same. I think this is like a bunch of that fruit forward with that green apple, and it's like most of the flavors on the front palate. You start to feel it die down in the mid palate, and then the finish is, in my opinion, not there. It just like dissipates. I wish that it would linger a little bit longer.
The finish for me is not. It's below the Frenchie for sure, because I really like the Frenchie finish, and this does not have a good finish either.
No, like I'm saying, it doesn't have a finish.
I'm going to tell you, even for the dynamic nose on this, it doesn't even really have a strong front.
But it's more fruit forward up front. Like you get like a front, and you don't really get a mid, and you don't really get a finish.
I'm still getting that little bit of apple, but now definitely the front forward caramel. Kind of like the doubled had that nice honey. This is more of a burnt honey, maybe.
Yeah, but what I liked more about the double is that you hit that crescendo in the mid palate. So you got like a little bit up front, a big amount in the mid, and then it kind of dissipated. This is just like mainly, and it's not like, where the Frenchie, that's like a full force bang up front. This is a light bang up front, and then it's just kind of like subtle all the way through with like no finish. But that's just my opinion.
I think you're right on.
Yeah, for me, this one right now is kind of coming in third. Just because it's...
Well, I think it depends on how you want to look at it. Like, if you're talking about, like, if I want something that's easy to drink and super quaffable, I'll go with this one. If I want something that's a little bit more... the one I won't go to the French.
See, and I'm this is the Du Block, correct? This glass is just the Du Block
The double, yeah.
double. Well,
The American.
It's the double.
Don't take us back to Civil War, Jesse.
So,
Hey,
yeah,
that's a tough time.
kids, back in my day,
The horses were harder to
all right.
he's back. Jesse's back. Old man Jesse.
So let's go ahead and do we want to wrap this up and then move over to our shout outs, because I think we have a
Yeah.
few shout outs this week.
Absolutely. I'm going to revisit each one really quickly.
You know, now that we have adjusted the volumes, we can hear multiple
Everything.
noises. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to get like people breathing like.
And we can hear all the slurping now. Before,
I can
so
move my
for all of
leg.
those of you who were complaining that you couldn't hear us before because of the volume.
Now you can really hear
Now
us.
you're probably going to hear way more than you want to.
All right, Jesse, start us off. I mean, how are we going to, are you going to do a ranking here?
Yeah, for me, it's going doubled, 12-year, and then the French finish.
All right.
Anything you want to say on top of that?
The 12-year is particularly surprising. It had a great nose, a little bit of apple initially, and it's just that it leaves me wanting with the finish. The double has a nice nose as well. But that honey with the double that follows through and carries that almost splendid fruity finish is perfect. With the French, again, I enjoyed it. A nice strong start, a mild finish. All three to me relatively the same in color. It's kind of hard to tell sometimes and be a fair judge knowing how light reflects and refracts off of curves and glasses, but all very similar with a wonderful, actually, bronzed gold color.
Brian?
All right, for me, I went ahead and went with the Frenchie as number one because I like it because it had that pop at the front end of the palate, and then I love that just the way that the tail just kind of lingered, and I really liked the aftertaste in that linger. My second place finish is going to be the Dubloc. The Dubloc is so kind of mild and smooth at the beginning, but then it hit me late. At the tail end of the palate is where you kind of got that pop, and then it left me with not as good of an aftertaste or a tail end there. And then the third place is the 12-year because the 12-year just you guys say left me wanting. It was just pretty nondescript. There's nothing that really stood out for me in the 12-year, other than the cool name being the Axel and it.
And once again, anyone who can speak Gaelic, please leave a message. Let us know how that should be pronounced, and we apologize.
Even if you do tell us how it's pronounced, we'll probably still screw it up.
We're still going to say...
Yeah, I tried 20 times, and it got worse.
All right, so I'm just kind of... Gonna be
chilling like a villain.
Finishing these off. I'll start here. Yeah.
So I will say that I'm gonna go America.
The double.
America. The double.
The Dubloc.
Yes, the double maturation. I think to me, I like how it had a mild front palate. I like how it hits a crescendo in the mid palate and then kind of finishes off. After that, I will go with the 12-year. I found the 12-year to be very quaffable. It didn't really hit like a ton of high notes anywhere, but it was pretty much like soft all the way through. And the Frenchie, I think it hit a little bit too hard up front for me. And it did have a good lingering finish, I will give you that much. However, I will also notate that I think it would be nice to probably let some of them sit until the latter part of our show, retaste them, because as we allow things to open up, those flavors start to I guess, make themselves known, and it'll come across slightly bit different later on. So with that, I'll just say for right now, I'm going to go American, the 12, and then the French. Okay.
It's kind of interesting with that. It sort of tells, maybe what is it that we have started to individually look for in a Scotch. Like I'm starting to think that, God, I kind of lean towards this finish. That finish. That's where I'm, but I'm wondering, who knows?
Tell you with the ice, the French, you mentioned cinnamon when you were first describing it. It's exactly what I just tasted when I put this teeny bit of ice in the French.
You know what? Drop me a little broken off piece of something or other in there. Tiniest little thing if you got it. That's what we're talking about.
All right, fine. Throw me in with the rest of the group.
Well done, young Padawan.
I'm
not
betting 1,000 today.
Old. older than us, Padawan.
Ooh, you do get a lot more cinnamon on that one. All right.
Oh, by the way, these are all
Speyside Highlands.
Speyside, and they're 47.1%. Is that?
Yeah, 47.1. So they're kind of high.
And
like
I thought
higher than normal. What we've been trying.
You know, when we first the first scent of we're calling it the Frenchie. I thought I was like, ooh, that okay, smelling. So I was kind of awake.
Hello.
But, as we just kept smelling
That's
things.
the time I mean Beetlejuice.
Nice. We could talk Beetlejuice someday. This might be a good segue to kind of move into Smarter Challenge. Are we ready to talk about that?
Let's do our shout-outs.
Shout-outs first. Shout-out first. Okay,
definitely going to do some shout-outs because we got to get some of those done. So, Jesse, you want to start off with your shout-out?
So we went to Tonti's Pizzeria today for a quick little slice of pie lunch. And Brooks, sir, thank you. Great service. Always great pizza. Tonti's has been around as long as in this area for as long as I can remember. I'm going on a couple of decades at least, and has never disappointed. So Brooks, thank you. Chris, hope you're doing well, and thank you for delicious, consistently great pizza. Really appreciate it, and thanks again, Brooks. Really appreciated the service and the great pie today.
Here's a shout out to you. Cheers.
Cheers.
Brian, do you have any shout outs?
You know what? I do have a shout out. This shout out goes out to my wife, who is awesome, because
Aaron.
Aaron. The negative shout out I'm giving is to whoever the heck decided to put like back to school night on my birthday. So it was kind of a drag out to work.
Wait, I got to ask you about this.
Yeah.
How's back to school night like 3 days after you start school?
Good question. I don't want to go there because we didn't need to. I even talked to some of the parents about it. The parents were so cool because they were like, "Hey, happy birthday, Mr. William," when they showed up, because like the first day we had to talk about back to school night, and I was like, "And back to school night's on Thursday, and that's the worst day in the history of days to ever have it because it's my birthday." So, and I was like, "So kids, if I'm in a bad mood and I'm yelling at you, it's because I'm working for like 13 hours on my birthday." But then I get home, and there's a nice bottle of Scotch, Lafroig 10-year, from my father-in-law. Nice. So I had that going for me. Oh, we're going to have to review that one. That is a good P.T. Isla Scotch, I tell you.
So you're thanking her because her dad got you a nice bottle of Scotch.
Well, and the reason he got it, too, he's like, "Oh, I heard you talking about, that Scotch you drink and how you love that earthy flavor." And he goes, "I hate that crap. I got a bottle. You can have it." So it was like a kind of a gift that he was like happy to get rid of. But really, it was just a matter of Erin was awesome, trying to make the best of a crappy time to have a birthday, and she made me a marble cake, which I don't know if you guys are even familiar with marble cake.
Yeah, it's like the game you like play marbles,
and you eat the cake and choke on the marbles. Okay, well, marble cake is like that,
chocolate and vanilla.
And vanilla, right? Well, do you know that they used to make like marble cake cake mixes? Well, they don't make it anymore.
They don't?
No, there's no such thing as marble cake mix. You can't find it. It doesn't exist. So my awesome wife buys a yellow cake and a chocolate cake, and she bakes them both and like cuts them in half and swirls them. So yeah, that's
way to go, Erin.
A little shout out to Erin for the extra effort that she does. So
being I have moved back to Colorado, I probably still see you guys just about the same as much as I did before.
Pretty similar, but not yet. Well, yeah.
I should probably come by.
Swing by a little bit more often. Well, we all got kind of busy with the birthday celebrations. Like, we still have to do, like, a celebration, like, with us. Like, go do something.
Yes, and in fact, I'm going to be ordering your birthday present here probably on Thursday.
Well,
it's a tinfoil hat.
It's not a tinfoil hat. Nice. But he has seen it.
I've seen it.
Yes. No, you have not, but Jesse has.
Dude, I hit the right button.
And I will say that they do miss the target.
Oh, no. Who misses the target?
Dude, you just wait for it, man. He's just giving you every hint you ever needed to know that you don't need to know.
Okay. Exactly. Target. But is it not cool, though? I showed you that picture on the... Mm-hmm. That's pretty cool, huh? Anyways, you have a cool present coming up, but I can't order until like Thursday. But
Interesting.
anyhow,
That's my shout out.
That's
So
your shout
you
out?
did your shout out. You got a shout out?
Yes, I do. I'm going to do a shout out to Rock River Ranches. This company, I found out about them. It's it's a bison ranch, and they sell bison meats. And they used to sell really directly to restaurants and grocery stores, and that's really their main clientele. However, when the lockdowns happened, all of a sudden he was not able to like sell his meat.
Yeah, because you're locked down.
Yeah, and he's like, "What am I going to do with all his meat?" And he's about to lose like his. From my understanding, I could be totally getting the story wrong, but since he couldn't get rid of his meat, he's about to lose like his ranches and all that stuff. And word got around about it, and that's how I heard about him, like back in like March of 2020 or so. And great service. They deliver to anywhere in the Denver metro area, and actually they'll deliver anywhere in the U.S. But they'll actually will drive out to your house right here, and it's so fresh. They do all the cutting and all that stuff right there.
Where is it located?
Here in Colorado.
Where?
I don't know where.
No, not sure. Okay.
I know like the office is located I think in near Stapleton, I think, but I'm not positive. But it's I think the meat's great. We had like a wonderful. This takes us to our dinner here.
Oh man,
that was going to be my shout out. I was like, I got to squeeze in a quick shout out about this dinner.
So this leads us. So thank you, Rock River Ranches, for some wonderful meats.
It was so perfect.
It was, and so now this gives me. Probably, I think Brian and I may have the same shout out, but I gotta give a shout out to the chef, which is Jesse. He did a damn good job.
Okay, I just want him to break it down from like start to finish what he does to these steaks. These were New York Strip
bison New York strips.
So very, very lean, and I mean, you talk about slicing into them. You've got that beautiful kind of that crusty exterior where it was really obvious that he seared the juices in, and then just the knife just kind of glides through it, and you see that perfect redness, that tenderness. But okay. So I cannot complain at all. But did you notice, because it's so lean, it had a little bit less juices than some steaks?
But
it still melted in my mouth.
Oh my God, did it ever? And so Jesse, I'm gonna turn it. We can't forget about the potatoes.
Potatoes are great, and you can't you got the prosciutto wrapped shrimp and the prosciutto wrapped asparagus. Oh gosh,
I did not do the shrimp, by the way, Aaron. In case you're watching, she always gets on my case because I eat stuff I shouldn't. So.
We took care of him.
I was good.
He took better care of himself.
Oh, and we can't forget sautéed mushrooms.
Some kind of mushrooms, and I somehow ended up not getting them, which is probably good. I was fortunate. I just got potatoes.
How about that crème brulee?
I have never had crème brulee.
That just blows my mind. Mine equals blown.
When do you have something like that? How do you have that?
At a restaurant.
What restaurant?
Elway's, Ellington's, Palace Arms, Ship's Tavern, Shanahan's.
Ruby Tuesdays, Red Robin.
Are Ruby Tuesdays even around anymore?
Nope, I don't think so. Maybe.
How you gonna go to Ruby Tuesday?
Bad Daddies. We don't go out to eat too much. Going out with you guys, I go out to eat a lot more. But now, anyway, back to the lecture at hand here. Crème brulee, that's some good stuff.
Come to think about it, I think maybe one of the first times I had crème brulee.
European Cafe.
Where's this European?
Doesn't exist anymore. But it used to be downtown Denver.
It was our prom.
Much like Ruby Tuesdays.
We gave two extremely lucky ladies a little bit of our time. We let them hold our arm, if you will, while we took them to 36 holes of putt-putt golf. A wonderful European Cafe dinner.
The European Cafe dinner
was great.
The cafe, didn't we had gone there before though, I think.
Yeah.
It was a very good restaurant.
Did I ever take you to Cafe Berlin, the German restaurant? Did we ever go? No. I think it may be gone also. It's kind of bounced a little bit here and a little bit there. It used to be on the 16th Street Mall. And you would go and have like a giant stein of beer, and you'd have like the, all the veal, the schnitzels.
I'm not sure if that would be a good idea because I might have flashbacks about when I was in Germany last. And you
don't remember those times though. Maybe you will have flashbacks and go, "Oh my gosh, that's where my pants are."
that was Prague, by the way.
Oh, I remember.
That was Prague.
Helga's got my pants still in the top drawer.
Helga, the pants. Nine, the pants.
But there
Give me my pants back. Give me my pants back.
Okay. So we talked about
Jesse's
dinner.
like got the
Did you want to say anything about
tonight.
dinner?
No, I'm glad. Thank you guys for enjoying it. I'm sharing it with me and enjoying, again, the prosciutto wrapped asparagus and shrimp, the mushrooms, the potatoes, the steaks that you supplied, were perfect. Those Bison NY Strips, I couldn't ask for a better cut of steak to cook with.
And the wine. Yeah, the wine is like one of my favorite bottles, which is the Raymond
Cabernet
Napa. It's the reserve selection.
Mm-hmm.
The perfect selection to go with that meal, with the steak, the red meat, the potatoes.
Yeah, and that was the whole reason why we went to Total Wine and Beverage, or Total Wine over there, because I knew that's exactly the bottle of wine I wanted to have for this dinner tonight. And when I used to be the wine buyer and stuff like that for the liquor stores back when I was younger, Raymond always hooked me up. I used to have I got like Raymond baseball cap, and they had like a special party for Raymond and stuff like that I went to, and their wines have always been phenomenal.
And that was the wine we had, Raymond?
Yes.
Huh. And where is it from?
Napa. And it's a great bottle. Which is kind of weird because like typically the wines I do like are from Bordeaux, but this is one of my favorites. So in any case, sorry, I figured we had to throw Raymond in there.
I think that's a good call. It was a perfect choice for that dinner, for the meal.
I agree. All right. We will probably be going long tonight because we have not even touched on our Smarter Challenge. So Jesse, introduce us to
All right. So
challenge.
the Smarter Challenge was to watch and enjoy The Great Gatsby, Leonardo DiCaprio version. And if you guys are cool with it, Brian, I'll let you start with the challenge of what was the significance, what could the importance be back then or modern, your choice or both, of the importance of attire, the importance of transportation, could be a car, and the importance of residence, a home or estate.
Well, you introduced me to another classic. So the Smarter Challenge made me smarter. Because I've never really seen it. I think my boys had to read The Great Gatsby, and I think they hated it.
Most people, it's a difficult read.
Yeah,
for a lot
it is
of
a tough read. I remember we had to read in high school.
I'm really gonna talk to the boys about this to get like their take on it because they've never seen the movie, and I had not seen the movie either. I had just got here earlier today and was able to watch it, and one of the things I found interesting in it was this pursuit of wealth and this pursuit of keeping up with the Joneses, and to try and give put off an impression of this is who I am and this is how I am wealthy. And it's just I started seeing connections into even the group from American Psycho. Just that so much mattered about like, where can you get the restaurant, look at my party, look at me. Did you notice this? And man, I did not. And this is like, I thought Leonardo DiCaprio, he kind of played it. I didn't realize that the Great Gatsby was quite so flabbergasted around. Like he kind of seemed like and I get it. It was funny because I was talking to Noah about it. I mentioned just in the movie, I was like, Leonardo DiCaprio sounds funny when he says "old boy."
Old boy.
Old sport.
And in like not 20 minutes later, it comes back and he's like, because there's some question and doubt who is this guy at the end of the day? Who really is he? And it turns out he was, if, depending on who you believe or what you read into it, he was kind of a self-made person, which it was pretty impressive. So it was a very interesting exercise to watch it. Now, as far as the, I mean, obviously everybody was dressed to the nines. That was like the roaring 20s, you know, and the flappers and all that. So it was like major excess, like before the Great Depression, like everything was good and was going to stay good. And these parties were intense. And, you know, somewhere when I was doing my homework and my research, there was something about this color scheming in the movie, and this gold in this golden era, and there's always these gold accents in the background, and the bright gold hair is really captured in kind of the cinematography you had brought up earlier when we were talking about that. But just, you know, back then it's so funny because, you know, everything wasn't in excess at that time, and yet it was about to become the Great Depression. And you saw just everybody was dressed to the nines. I mean, it wasn't a blazer. It was a 3-piece, 5-piece suit. I mean, all of them with the vests, and then, you know, the two different vehicles, the custom, a lot of bragadier, you know, bragging about, well, I've done this and I've done that, and but I don't really know. That's just kind of summarizing kind of the movie for me. Noah, do you want to kind of talk a little bit more about it, or?
Well, it's funny that you brought up American Psycho, because I did talk to Jesse that I think there is a tie-in to American Psycho that we talked about last time.
Brought up another one, another important one.
And when I talked about American Psycho to Jesse about this earlier, I was talking about how when you look at American Psycho, that character there, he was detached from society, right? And that's how he's all tied into materialism. Like, if you remember, kind of like my analysis.
Well, he was attached to that materialistic society, but kind of detached from
society itself, from human connection.
Like typical.
So
human connection.
I think here you see somewhat similar things here, because you have to ask, was he really a good person or was he really a bad person? Because the main character, Nick, which is played by Tobey Maguire. I forget what Nick's last name is in the book or in the movie, but in any case, he's the one who's writing about it.
Nick Carraway.
Nick Carraway.
Good.
So,
yeah.
Nick Carraway, he's saying that the Gatsby was the most hopeful person that he's ever known and probably will ever meet in his entire life. But if that was the case, you have to ask yourself: is someone who is hopeful, someone who's going after, who exudes hope, who's going after something? Is that person going to be more relatable to other people, or are they not? Because if you look at in the movie when the Great Gatsby dies, or even in the book, he's all alone. The only person that's there for his funeral is Nick.
Yeah.
And so you have to ask yourself, was he really, truly a good person? This also brought me into another comparison when you look at the Count of Monte Cristo versus the Great Gatsby. Now, in both cases, the Count from Monte Cristo, he came from no money. He went to prison, was trained by a general or whatever, found the treasure. He had a plan to commit revenge against the person who put him into prison, and because he was going to marry a certain woman, which was a certain lady named Mercedes, and but he changed his tact somewhere throughout the way, and he was able to achieve his goal, get the woman, still have all that wealth, and still put his enemy basically down. Now you look at the Great Gatsby. He came from nothing. He went to war, but he was a captain. So he wasn't trained by a general, but he had a little bit of similarities there.
Okay.
Right? And he was driven. He had a goal, and it wasn't really so much about revenge. His supposed goal was about love, because he wanted to marry Daisy, and he told Daisy, "Hey, wait for me because he wanted to make something of himself first." Mm-hmm. So he was driven by that. But as you go through and you see him, and you look at the, I don't want to talk too much about the green light, but because I think Jesse's going to talk more about the green light.
Okay, yeah.
But you have to look at someone who is so focused on a goal do you know, when people are so laser beam focused on a goal, they let other things fall off to the wayside. And I think he was so focused on trying to make himself part of the elites that he accomplished what he wanted to with the money. He got the house that he needed to have, but as he did that, I think he lost. He had the chance to get the one that he wanted, but because he was so driven, he kind of went beyond that and lost her in the process.
Well, and you know, you brought up something as you were kind of talking about, like when Gatsby died, you know, and the kind of narrative that was written about Gatsby when he was alive, right? The narrative, he did this, and he was just kind of like this kind of unknown but worldly, like pretty amazing.
He's a man of mystery.
Yeah, man of mystery. And he was pretty incredible, right? But then once he died and they kind of switched the narrative, it was rewritten to where people immediately were like distancing themselves from him, you know, and it's just, and it all happened with, you know, I think you've said it before, you know, those who write history, the person that wrote history, you know, that at the time, but then this guy, you know, Nick Carraway later on is writing out, you know, maybe the truth. It's so mysterious. Who knows?
Yeah, and I just think it's very interesting. There was another point I wanted to make, but when you asked me the question, I forgot my point.
Oh, shit, I'm sorry.
It's all right. It's all right. But I do think when you look at his character, I think it's good for people to have a goal. It's good to have a laser beam, to be laser beam focused on your goal, because there will be a lot of things that come up and it's, you know, come into your life to try to distract you from your goal. But you can't be so over consumed by your goal that you destroy what it is that you want. And I think and that's probably best explained when he's talking to Daisy, saying, tell your husband that you never loved him. And she's like, isn't it enough that I just love you now? And he's like, no, you got to tell him that you never loved him. And I think that's where he got, where it became so much, he got so overwhelmed by his goal that he basically destroyed his goal or where he was going. Because if it was truly love, one could say if he was really truly after love, then he wouldn't necessarily have to become part of the elites. And I think that also brings up another part. I think this is where I was going to go before with the elites, is that you, even with both Monte Cristo, the Count of Monte Cristo, American Psycho, or even with the Great Gatsby, there is a group of elites, right? A group of people. And if you're not part of that group, you're not part of that group. Doesn't matter what you do, right? You can make all the money, you can have all the same toys as they have, you can have all the same houses that they have, you can have just as much money as they have or more. But if you're not part of that group, they will always look down upon you.
You didn't come from where they came from.
Right.
Yeah.
The potential parallels here are endless. So
Yes.
we've got the Great Gatsby, the challenge, and we've got the Count of Monte Cristo. We've got American Psycho. We've got Great Expectations, which we've talked about in the past. And these are all
the same
similar
it's
stories.
All about,
Yeah. And you bring up a really good point about love, and we'll revisit that because that is something that is so important, but it's also completely misunderstood by most people, I think, on the planet, if not at least in our community. Talking about also your shout out for the Bison, great job community for helping keep this gentleman, this entrepreneur in business. So that's a great shout out for the community in whole as well, the people who gave the business so he could remain in business and continue to do great. Great Gatsby, written by F. Scott Fitzgerald. First, he was going to publish it in 1924. His editor, the publisher, was like, hey, revisit this and bring it back out in 1925 when it finally came out. I believe it was May of 1925. Now, it doesn't seem like a whole lot of copies, but at the same time, man, 1925, 20,000 copies seems like a lot to me. That's all he was able to sell by October 1925, which was not what he had hoped for. by a long shot. And so up until F. Scott Fitzgerald's death in 1940, he considered himself a failure because of this book. It did not take off the way he wanted it to. Now, fast forward all this time, one of the main things that brought The Great Gatsby to be such a treasured piece of literature was World War II, and the fact that it was given to a lot of these soldiers. And as we look at it, and there are pieces of, World War I, he's in the war, he's an officer, this opportunity to come back and find love. I think it was a great thing where it's like, hey man, you're in World War II, we get it, read this book. It's not necessarily the easiest read, but it's not a super long read, and it might give you some hope. And I think hope is where Noah talks about the green light. Flashback again to F. Scott Fitzgerald. In this book he wrote, takes place 1922, Egg Bay, Long Island, and it is part of this golden age. It's this great time period. One of the things that a lot of people don't necessarily understand is F. Scott Fitzgerald himself had a little relationship with a well-to-do female in that area, and later moved on. The relationship ended, but I think there is some truth to that piece about we tend to write about experience, and then not everyone is going to like the fact that we really pour our heart out in this experience. So if you're going to redo a book, how do you do it? Well, you do it from one version to first person. So that's another part of this book that makes it a more difficult read, is the first person narrative. You have Jay Gatsby, Daisy Buchanan, two of the main characters in the book. Jay Gatsby meets Daisy Buchanan, goes off to war, and gets this chance to come back, but he's not rich, and he sees her with all these well-to-dos. With that, he wants to be a well-to-do. He wants to be able to provide her everything he's seeing that is drawing her eye. Fast cars, big residences, money, well-dressed people. He himself was super well-dressed, and just from the military. With that, he goes off, does a bunch of crooked stuff, makes a bunch of money, and this is where Noah kicks in, was he a good person? You could really challenge, is anybody who's seeking revenge or something and doing against the law, anything, a good person? His win, his tie-in was he went out, and this is the wonderful age of prohibition, which backfired on the U.S. government, because what prohibition did, trying to block out alcohol, cheers, was make it more readily available and cheaper for everyone. Unfortunately, it also made it more dangerous, much like drugs. People were lacing it with bathwater and any other number of things, so they could turn a profit. And with that, you get into Gatsby. Moves into Long Island, has this giant house. And this is where you really start to get more of the perspective of, why is he doing this? He's doing this for love. And literally you find that out through Nick Carraway's character and others, that Jay Gatsby did all of this as his mind told him, or as his heart told him, because of this love affair he had with Daisy Buchanan. Previously not Daisy Buchanan, it was Daisy, but as she's now a married woman, he has done all of this to win her heart. Now, here comes the importance. The question is, what is and should be the importance of a fast car or a luxury car, a giant house or an estate, well-dressed? We all want to pretend that these things don't matter, and at the end of the day, even though maybe they shouldn't matter, you are judged by how you dress. You are judged by what you drive. You are judged by where you live. And it's tough. I think a really eye-opener is when you become a parent and you also are very conscious of, man, is everything okay? Like, are my kids okay with the car I drive, how they're dressed, where they live? And again, socially, I don't know that this should be that heavily weighted, but in reality it is. And in Gatsby's sense, he did it to the extreme, like no one else. Gets this huge house, has no friends, takes no real enemies until he decides to actively pursue Daisy Buchanan and try to win her heart. And with that, though, is totally disconnected from the society he has tried so hard to impress upon with his giant house, his one-of-a-kind, rare Sportster, and his fancier than anyone else can imagine clothes. And it's just a great story, though, because with the love piece in particular, how many of us, and this is where the love piece is so torn, how many of us do things because of love for another versus, hey, it's one of the things you learn as a parent, take care of yourself first. It sounds so backwards, but if you're on an airplane and you don't get oxygen to yourself and you die, doesn't matter if you saved your kid. What happens when that 5-year-old is all alone and you've gone down in the ocean and now you can't save them? So save yourself first, love yourself first, make sure that you put your an importance on your own mental well-being. And I think schools and society has done a pretty nice job with kids right now. Even in COVID, I am impressed with some of the things the school districts around here, Cherry Creek schools, some of the things they've done for anti-shaming and self-appreciation. I'm actually really happy, even just comparing it to when we were in school, what the school, and I don't know other school districts, but Cherry Creek School District has done a very nice job for my children, I believe, making them feel valued and good about themselves. And that's very important to me. Had Great Gatsby, and this may be the difference between him and the Count of Monte Cristo, loved himself just a little bit more, maybe the story never got past him walking away when she was about to marry Mr. Buchanan. And maybe he said something then as opposed to just giving her a letter that said, sorry, I don't have enough money to impress upon you. I'm going to go make some money and come back.
Possibly.
Maybe.
It's interesting to me because so often I am drawn to these love stories because they're dramatic and a lot of times they're traumatic.
One can say if he wasn't so encompassed either, by what he thought he wanted, he could have accepted the win when she said that I love you now and was willing to leave her husband at that particular point in time. But that's not what he wanted.
Absolutely. And I know I need to wrap up because I'm on my soapbox and it's a very big soapbox right now. But what Noah's talking about is absolutely truth. To ask any person, a lot of it's all built on insecurities. And man, The Great Gatsby was full of them. To ask any person to disacknowledge any potential previous love encompassing the past versus only they could be loved by this one person at all in all time is not real. It's not fair. The fact that he asked her that, yeah. And the other thing with the green light, and this is where I think that it really helped the soldiers in World War II, that green light really being the beacon of hope. And the interesting part to me is when he finally is starting to win over Daisy Buchanan's heart and he's in his estate dancing around with Caraway, all of a sudden the green light goes out. And what was it about hope that really went out? And I think part of that was a self-realization was, man, I did all this for what exactly? And now it's not enough.
But the green light came back on later on in the movie.
Because he figured out what else he needed. But the problem was what changed from when he was dancing in that estate with Caraway and Daisy was Nick. And Daisy that's when he decided he needed to hear from her. And this was his hope, this impossible dream. You never loved anyone but me. You never loved Mr. Buchanan.
Well, any good movie or work of literature, it's good when it puts you in that scenario, when you see yourself in those characters. And I see myself in those characters just in the fact that whole, much like American Psycho, much like Great Expectations, is that constant, that strife to elevate yourself through the class system. I was raised blue collar, from a blue collar family, and I'm pretty darn blue collar. That's just kind of blue collar through and through. So with that class system, now I live where I live and do what I do, and we've kind of sort of found our way into a completely different class system that I don't fit in, and I know I don't fit in, and it's very, I don't necessarily want to fit in, because it's kind of, but another movie, Great Expectations, The American Psycho is kind of that thing, is kind of trying to, that class, that elitist, that constant strife to, to keep up with the Joneses. And then I can relate to that, not in that strife, but in that coming from, in The Great Gatsby, coming where he didn't come from a whole lot and kind of worked hard, and I've been able to work kind of hard for myself and do a pretty decent job. But to know that, like you said, or somebody alluded to, the fact that, like, you don't belong here still. You're still not one of us. You don't know the lingo. You didn't vacation where we vacationed. You don't know the tours, so I could see myself in that story a little bit. Good, smarter challenge, Jesse.
Thank you. All right. Did you want to say anything else about this, or do you want us to go ahead and start? Have Brian give us our next smarter challenge and then wrap it up.
Let's move on now. I really appreciate you guys always entertaining my smarter challenges.
Cool. All right, Brian. So what is our next smarter challenge?
Oh my gosh, you just completely put me on the spot.
You needed that slap in the door, bro.
I know I should have known, and I thought about it.
2 weeks to think
about it. I thought about it earlier today, and I was like, I'm pretty sure that it's that I'm the next smarter challenge.
Well, yeah.
40 scissor
I
hands.
know. We really should have talked about this over dinner. Okay, what is my next smarter challenge?
If you don't got one, I got one.
You know what? If you got one, you can jump, because I want one to be a decent one. Yeah. So why don't you skip me and let me think about what I want to educate you guys on? Because I don't know.
Are you sure? Because this is another tinfoil hat one.
No, I'm cool with it. I want to come up with something. I want to be a little bit creative. And if I'm just on the spot,
why don't you just have us go out every day for 2 weeks, or even just a week, and grab out a tape measure and measure how much the grass grows? We don't have to watch it if we can measure it.
Kind of a smarter challenge to see who's smart enough not to do it.
I mean, I would do it.
Grow.
How long does it take? It's like 30 seconds a day.
It's up to you. We can flip flop this week.
No, go ahead. I've got something kind of lingering, but you've obviously put some thought into yours. So
if you got a lingering,
I don't. It's like I said,
you've got a ghost.
Little hints of things are kind of sparking up here and there, and I'm thinking, but you got an idea, so go with it.
All right. So for us this week, it's going to be, since we're you'll get my week next week. So.
Oh, okay, yeah. So this is for your week, but then I get the week. Okay.
All right. So I am the smarter challenge would be to research the Akashic library and how to access it.
Research the Akashic library.
Akashic library.
I can't spell that. I'm just going to write it down later after I look it up.
It's like AKASHIK.
See what you did?
Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to look at my phone, and when Noah texts me this thing and a link to look at, I'll check it out.
Dear God!
So research the Akashic library, and how does one access it?
1.51 gigabytes.
Akashic. Yes, and this is not like too far-fetched, because it actually, when we talked about Thoth in the Emerald Tablets... Yeah. He's like laughing over there. He's getting all like
he's getting crazy.
Dude, I watched videos with him for hours, and the more I watched, the more lost I got. No, about Thoth and the Emerald Tablets. So I started out clear, and it got cloudy.
Anyways, he does talk.
You're gonna send Jesse back to Civil War, old man Jesse. He's gonna
found my tooth. I'm so happy now.
Anyways, Thoth in the Emerald Tablets does talk about the Akashic library in there. So it's not like totally like off the wall. It is somewhat related to my previous one.
All right. I got to think of something. I don't know what I'm thinking of, but it wasn't the Akashic library.
And how to
access it.
Yeah. All right. I guess
kind of like the video game Tron.
Sure.
Like you can access. Sure. Why not? I could have said anything and you did. Like,
more like Fun Guy.
Is it? Oh, have you seen that?
Yeah.
Is that New Guy? No.
Free Guy.
Free Guy. You went and saw that?
I still went and saw it with my son.
Nice. Good?
I thought it was absolutely great. Ryan Reynolds is a great actor, and he did a really nice job playing an aloof little video game character. I loved it. Good job, Ryan Reynolds. And also, I just wanted to take my son to go get away from school. He's in new school, high school. He needed a little free time, so that was just a daddy-son thing.
All right.
Nice. We want to try and go see that, so recommend it. Cool.
2 thumbs up.
Okay, you want to start to close and say anything special that might have happened this past week or anything else?
I mean, so... The one thing that was great, have you ever seen the movie The Gentleman? Matthew McConaughey.
No, I have not. Matthew McConaughey? You mean Thoth?
Yeah,
Thoth.
Yeah. You remember Matthew McConaughey, Thoth.
Well,
the older I get, they stay the same age.
Yeah, that's the one. All right. No, mine was a little bit different. I took Noah out for his birthday dinner, and we went to Casa Mariachi. And since I saw the movie, I was like, man, I need one of those bottles of that 40-year-old Scotch in there. And, the Glen Fohdry 40. So after dinner, Noah and I meandered over to Bevy's Liquor and
before we just meander
this.
over there and we're talking about it at dinner time, he's like, this Scotch is like so hard to find. You can't find it anywhere.
And would they have like
they randomly
box?
had this one.
Yeah, it's like bingo, bango. Thank you.
It wasn't
Bevy's.
there a month ago.
It wasn't there 2 weeks. It wasn't there a week ago. So
Very
anyway,
impressive.
that was my happy moment is that I got the Scotch.
And he for my birthday, he got me a bottle of Little Bay Open.
Oben Little Bay Oben.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. I'm actually curious to see if he'll where that'll fit on the step of 1, 2, and 3 with the Oben Night's Watch and the Oben 18.
Yeah, you're going all Oben right now.
Apparently.
What about the Glen Morangi? Is it the Glenlivet? The Glenlivet Enigma.
Dude,
Enigma's really good, but I'm not ranking these yet.
Oh, I gotcha.
But anyways, do you want to do the rest of your close? Do you want to say goodbye to the people? Or
I mean, I'm just still in heaven. I have been looking for that Scotch since the movie came out. And, it's only money, right?
all right.
Just a little bit of money.
So thank you to the viewers. The one thing I would say is, and some of you guys have done a really nice job. I really have I have laughed my tail off with some of your comments, particularly the one about who controls the lighting budget. Love you, man.
That was a funny one.
That was a good one. Yeah.
And
Because
all
we're
of
always
it, though,
sitting in
they
the
were
dark.
great.
How bright am I today?
You're 4 shades lighter today, man. You need to get back out in the sun.
Noah, you look good and bright. Right.
I can't even see myself. All I see is a big.
I can see clearly now.
Anyways, anything else you got to say for the wrap up?
No, man. I just thank you guys for the feedback. Please continue to do that. Give us ideas, thoughts, suggestions. Hopefully the sound is better, as Noah put it. If we're too loud, you asked for it.
Yes, you,
Smarter challenges. That's some good Scotch. Oh, wait, there's Brian going to the bathroom.
all right, for me, enjoyed the comparison of the 3 different Scotches from the same distillery, which is not really a distillery after all. We found out it's kind of a...
It is a distillery, but the question remains, who really owns it?
Yeah, Glen Fohdry. It's like a...
Sounds like Glenfiddich.
Yeah, it seemed like most things we saw was like Glenfiddich.
Something like that, yeah. Really enjoyed The Great Gatsby. Enjoyed... I'm glad I got to see the movie. I didn't... I should kind of fess up that I didn't do my homework until while we were eating dinner. Got to watch that for the first time. That meal was just out of this world delicious. So good, Jesse. Thank you very, very much. Yeah, I don't know. Another good night of Scotch Hour. Got to learn about something else new, and now I get to learn about this library.
Pancreatic library or something.
Akashic.
Pancreatic library or something.
Akashic library.
Bless you.
All right. So,
yeah, I can't.
Okay, and I'm out.
all right. So, for those of you, if you did like our show here tonight, our episode, please give us a thumbs up.
Yeah, dude. Subscribe. Thumbs up.
Please subscribe. anytime you give us a thumbs up or you subscribe or you leave a comment, it does help us with the algorithms for YouTube and helping us get our show out there. So we do greatly appreciate you for watching us, for leaving comments, for giving us thumbs up and sharing it. And we do try to, at least I try to respond to all the comments.
I'm working
well done,
on
sir.
it.
Well done.
I respond by telling Noah what I would like him to say.
He doesn't even know.
And I read them and I say, hey, I wonder if Noah saw that.
I said, I'm the one who's like, dude, I saw your response, but did you see what followed that? Does Jesse control the entire lighting budget?
So anyways, we are, at least one of us will respond to your comments. So please respond or please leave a comment. Also, if you do leave in the comments, we haven't talked about this in a while, but if you leave in the comments a Scotch that you would like us to try, within reason, and they can't be like $1,000 Scotch, but like within reason, then you will be able to either call into the show and be part of the show, or you can, if you're here locally, you can come and be on the show with us.
Yeah.
But that won't work for next week. Because next week, since you already stole the Smarter Challenge, I get to decide the Scotch maybe.
Ooh.
Okay, that's fine.
And I know what I'm bringing in.
Check out the big brain on
And
Brian.
you guys both know what I'm bringing. And I think you're going to like it.
For the Frog 10?
Yep.
All right. So with all that, I just want to say thank you guys. Thank you guys for watching us. We greatly appreciate you. We do know that this was a longer episode than normal. So, but in any case, we do appreciate every single one of you. And we are available on YouTube, Rumble for video and audio. We're on Podbean, Spotify, Amazon Music, Audible Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. And with that, thank you, everyone, and have a great night.
Cheers.
Oh, look at, I even chose the different glass.
Yeah, you did. Well done.
Cheers again.
Cheers.
Great glass. All right.
Okay. We hope you enjoyed this evening's episode of Scotch Hour. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. Also, if you have not done so already, please become a patron member, with memberships starting as low as $1 a month. Thank you, and hopefully you have a wonderful evening.